Hello, I'm Tom Williams. I'm joined by Association President Candidate Annabelle Moltke. Now, Annabelle, can you tell us a bit more about you?
Hello. So I'm a fourth year studying international relations and social anthropology. I studied abroad in Stockholm University for a semester and loved that. And I've been engaged in student ambassadors since first year. But I've also done kind of student activism more recently with the strikes. I've kind of engaged with organised rallies in support of the strikes. Then I also, I was a committee member on the Mixed Martial Arts Society, which I was a member of for 3 years, and I'm currently doing an internship in a research think tank at the university IR department concerning collective human rights, particularly those dealing with those, promoting and researching those communities which are facing climate change disproportionately.
Now, obviously you've mentioned your strong support for the strikes. The university is staunchly opposed. Is this going to put you at odds with the university?
I don't think so. I mean, I'm pretty open-minded, and I'm more than willing to talk to Sally Mafton about the strikes, but also I really believe it's really important to cooperate very closely with the university. They are our ally, and even with the strike situation right now, I'm confident that it will be resolved to satisfaction this semester, or as soon as possible, really. I know there's negotiations going on. I don't think it will be an issue, personally.
Okay. Now, the strikes are quite a dividing issue on the student body. Obviously, the Joint Councils voted in favour of the strikes to endorse them. What's your opinion on the Students' Association being a political body?
I mean, so obviously the Student Association is meant to represent the voice of the students, right? So it's whatever the students' concerns are and opinions are that are to be promoted, and they must really be listened to. So as Association President, I would really kind of emphasise tapping into various kind of voices, both elected representatives, but also kind of beyond that, engaging with the student body to really gauge student opinion. But I don't think that means that we can't promote interests on a kind of national and university level, which are political, which kind of affect the student body, which the student body has expressed an overwhelming opinion on.
Now, you talked about gauging student opinion. You bring forth plans for this in the manifesto. How are you going to do that?
So I mean, apart from kind of one-to-one FaceTime, I think FaceTime is very important to me, but I think so informal drop-in sessions, for example, would be one way of plumbing students' ideas if they come to me with actual ideas. Other than that, kind of social polls on social media and the weekly emails to kind of which would also be anonymous to.
Aren't polls, though, on social media in particular, aren't they open to manipulation, particularly from people outside the university?
Outside the university?
Yes.
That's a good point. Perhaps. I think the thing is, these polls would be advisory, obviously. They are also polls, not every, a certain population of the student body would engage with polls.
And you can't guarantee that, though, if it's going on
but
social
what I'm
media.
saying is that it's not necessarily 100% reflective of the entire opinion of the student body, but it's another avenue to engage with students. And yeah, it's true, trolls could interfere with social media polls, so maybe email polls would be a better way to go about it, which are limited in their reach to students.
Okay. Now, you've got no experience in the union before. Now, what makes you qualified to be a Students' Association President?
Well, I don't think there's any prerequisite to have experience in the union. So the other candidates that are platforming, they have had ample experience with the union body itself, and they seem, from my perception, to see it more as a discrete entity. And I think the union, to me, has just always been, I've seen it more from a kind of non-union perspective as the representative of our body and really doing activities for us. And so I don't know, I see it as less separate than perhaps other candidates. That's just kind of my perception. In terms of what makes me qualified for this role, I mean, I think my strengths so as an ambassador, I've been representing the university for 4 years and communicating about the student experience to a public audience. Then I think whether or not you agree with my position on the strikes, the initiative I took, the reason I took it was because I felt that there was support for the strikes among my friends and that we didn't have, and myself, and we didn't have a way to express it. So it's really just taking the initiative to kind of express ourselves collectively in any sort of way. So I think I've been very engaged with the student body. I think my experience on committee, on the sports committee as well, is useful, but I think specifically union experience is not necessarily, it's more about your ideas, your platform, your vision, and your drive.
Okay. Now you talked about student engagement, and obviously that ties in with student activism, a point in your manifesto. You've talked about bringing in inspirational speakers, and that's going to encourage student activism.
Yeah.
How is it going to do that?
So I mean, we've just elected this new rector, who's an activist himself, and who has ample expertise, whose part of his manifesto is also to encourage more student-based activism. And I think, like, if I look at other universities, it's something that this university does not engage in much. Like, the rallies I organise are quite unusual, you know? And so in terms of, I think, kind of inspiring people with activists who have created change from a very grassroots level will help inspire initiative. I will give some people ideas of how to go about these things, that it's possible. I think that's kind of what I hope to do with that. And then also, I would also, obviously I would cooperate closely with the new rector, drawing his expertise as to how to go about that. This is just kind of my ideas.
Yeah. Another point in your manifesto is mental health. You elaborate on this quite extensively.
Yeah.
Can you explain why this is important to you?
Mental health, in my experience, like, I think it came out to me, particularly while I was studying abroad, that mental health at this university is an issue which needs to be more thoroughly addressed. It's a very widespread issue. I think a key point to me about mental health is that it concerns all of us. Like, we should really destigmatize mental health as something of the ill. Mental health is about every person's kind of managing of their work-life balance, which can be quite difficult in such a highly stimulating environment, both academic and socially. And so that is something that has been made really aware to me.
Can you elaborate on how you would go about destigmatizing and improving mental health and well-being at this university?
So I think, again, drawing on the resources that we have at this university. So we have a lot of resources that can educate about the importance of mental health to everyone, and not just it being, again, mental health is not something, it shouldn't be a buzzword when you're considering only serious mental health problems, when it's a crisis. It's a general state of well-being, so obviously I work with the well-being director very closely on this issue. So drawing on the educational resources we have here to kind of promote that, but also in terms of support, I think, again, because mental health is something that you need to address at multiple levels, because there's different types of issues that need to be addressed, I think. So prevention and support are kind of my two-pronged analysis of this. So in terms of prevention, we have the education side, but then we also have intervening early. So the university right now they have all these events running, de-stress events running, particularly during revision and exam period. I'd look to kind of expand that to have more events that actively de-stress you throughout the semester, and to create perhaps a more permanent space of relaxation, which is just a space of relaxation. Like, the union and kind of the libraries can be quite busy hubs of activity, so an example of that would be perhaps an already existing space of what you could call kind of relaxation or getting away from academics would be the community gardens, which I think are really under-promoted. But obviously that would only work during certain seasons, particularly well. But I have many ideas.
Yeah.
The last point I didn't mention on this is student services, and I think there's been a lot of dissatisfaction with student services. I think I would investigate as to whether this is because there's a misperception of what student services is, what their remit is, what their capabilities are, and what they're meant to do. And if there's a misperception of this, I'd seek to realign kind of perceptions as to what they're actually meant to do. Okay. Kind of their remit, and then I would seek to expand their capabilities if this is possible. Obviously in communication with the university to address, for example, more long-standing or serious issues with mental health. And just as a fun because there's even without me.
I'm just going to jump in if I can. And you've said in your manifesto that you want to promote a review of student services. Is this going to be the end goal of that review?
No, definitely not. But I'm just saying that I don't, at the moment, have the full depth of knowledge and expertise to have a specific game plan on this issue. The thing is that I think in this role, I think cooperating with the different actors that have a really in-depth knowledge of this situation is key. And I think me putting out a game plan as to how exactly point by point I will solve the situation is just misrepresentative, because I can't form that plan without cooperating with them, right? So this is my approach to how I'm really just putting mental health on the agenda. I think it's an important issue to address.
It's obviously a subject you're really passionate about, but let's move away from that now, because we can talk about this at great length. Let's move on to Brexit. What will you be fighting for as association president?
So the union has already come out with a statement saying that they think Brexit is harmful to the university's interests. The university prides itself on being a very international institution. I think there's certain issues with Brexit right now. Like, the most obvious one is that it's going to be more difficult for EU students to apply, probably. Everything's very uncertain in Brexit right now. But that is our impression. Also, I think a really big thing is, maybe this is starting in fourth year, but regardless, working conditions for when you graduate. It's kind of ridiculous that we educate so many international students and then kick them out of our country within 4 months of graduating. It's very difficult for them, unless they have a sponsored job, though, most of the time. It's very difficult for them to find that. And facing this issue of employment right now, I can tell you it's very difficult to find a job also in a short amount of time like that, perhaps. But so I would look at that would be an issue I'd want to promote. And then also we get like the Erasmus scheme. We would potentially no longer be participating in that. I participated in that. I can tell you it's of huge value. Going abroad is a massive bonus, and having the funds to do that, which is provided by the EU, was invaluable.
Okay. And Lewis Wood has obviously been campaigning for students' rights on Brexit. Would you change anything about the way he's been campaigning? Would it be a continuation of the same for you?
No, it would be. I think that what Lewis has been doing in his campaigning on a national level is not communicated enough to the student body. I would want to have like a separate email talking about how we are engaging with these larger political issues which will affect us, and offering students feedback, because again, this kind of two-way communication is very important, and also ways to get involved, because I think Brexit is an issue that people are very passionate about and have opinions that they want to be engaged with. So, but in terms of how I would go about doing it, I mean, yeah, I guess engaging. The thing is, I think that comes to the root of the problem. So I think engaging more with the national bodies and just lobbying more strongly. Like, it's just something I feel very passionate about, and I would just make it a priority.
Yeah. So lobbying more strongly is a priority.
Yeah.
Let's move on to accommodation now. In your manifesto, you don't actually mention the HMO review. What's your stance on the HMO issue in St Andrews?
I think the HMO review kind of ban reviews coming up, and I think I hope it will be lifted. Okay. I think it's a really contentious issue, because I can understand also some of the locals' concerns with and reasoning behind the HMO ban, but I think we just have to liaise with the locals a lot on this issue to find a solution that works for all of us. I know the locals after implementing the ban, my impression is that the locals have also been frustrated with rowdy students in more residential areas, but so kind of communicating these kind of issues, I think would be able to address them.
So greater number of communication with
transparency is key.
More transparency. What else would you do for accommodation at this university?
A website currently exists which is like Rate Your Property Manager, but I don't think it's very widely promoted at this university. I think Lewis has done really good work in introducing an accommodation week and putting together a really excellent how to rent guide, which I would seek to promote a lot further. And so apart from the guide, which kind of informs you also of your rights, because it's really important to know what your rights are as a tenant. This how to rate your property and property manager website would inform people as to what they're getting themselves into accommodation-wise, especially for first years who haven't done this before. It's a very difficult market to navigate, and knowledge really is power, or opportunity.
Yeah. Now, throughout your manifesto, what is your one key policy? What would you be most happy with if you were able to achieve it at the end of your tenure?
That's so difficult.
on the wall?
Oh man, it's so difficult. I feel like if I could, all of them really.
If we narrow it down to a single issue.
A single issue?
Yeah.
Okay, I haven't spoken about diversity yet, so I'll go with diversity.
Yeah, of course.
I think St Andrews has a reputation for being quite elitist, and it's one that is grounded, in my opinion, in truth. And we only have 66 black people at this university. There's not a lot of ethnic or racial diversity here, and I think that does not reflect the diversity of the UK as well, apart from anything else as a UK university. So socioeconomic and ethnic diversity are kind of two important things to me. And I think, so working with because the ambassador scheme, the widening participation schemes are really great. There's various members again who I'd work with who have in-depth knowledge about this. But I guess this is an issue which most top higher education institutions in the UK are currently being criticised for. And it's not one that's easily addressed. But the reason I feel strongly about putting it in my agenda is because I think just because it doesn't have an easy solution that I can necessarily attain in a year doesn't mean that it shouldn't be on there. And like lobbying the university in a way, engaging with the university in this issue is really central.
Okay. Now, what would your one criticism of Lewis Wood's tenure be so far?
He hasn't engaged very much with the environment. I would look to put a separate page or tab on the union website which talks about how individuals can engage more easily in sustainable living in St Andrews, but also kind of promoting the various environmental student activities we have going on here, like the tree and pop-down project, like various kind of different ways of getting involved in a more collective level in environmental activism.
That's about all we have time for. Thank you for watching. This has been Annabelle and Moltke.
Thank you.
Thank you.